Hi, everybody. Hello, hello. I just realized how messed up my hair is today. Sorry. How's everybody doing? Is everybody out there? Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Uh-oh. Oh, there you are. Hi. How's everybody doing today?
Patty, I was so shocked when you responded to my email. I was like, what? I have to keep it still, even though, the tenant is still here, like over 30 years. All the
Okay,
filings he had. I think, some of the property manager probably they lost them already.
I don't know what oh, I know what you're talking about now. Okay,
Yeah.
so just so everybody knows, everybody says that you got to keep your files for 4 years, 5 years, or 7 years, depending on what area you're in, depending on if you're a real estate broker or not. What they're talking about is after they vacate, that's how long you have to keep the entire file. So if a tenant lives in your house for 30 years and they're still there, you should have their case file in its entirety. Okay? Not just keeping the last 5 years or 7 years worth of documents. You're required to keep everything. So if you don't have the records showing that you've paid back the interest on the security deposit, you're probably going to have to pay it again just because you don't have the records to prove that you paid it unless you have a canceled check.
Okay.
A canceled check might be really, really a great way to prove that you paid them. Okay, but we want to keep those documents in their entirety until the tenant vacates, and then you have to hold it for 7 years. And I believe it's 5, not 7. But I don't know what your company corporate policy is. I'll tell you what policy should be for all these independent landlords. You should keep your case files for 4 years after the tenant vacates. Do you want to know why I say 4 years after they vacate? Because that's how long they have to sue you. Doesn't it make sense to have all of your documents if you're going to go through a lawsuit? After 4 years, they can't sue you anymore, so then you can shred it. That's my thinking. If you're part of the BRE, I believe they require that you hold your files. Hilda, do you happen to know off the top of your head, and I know I'm putting you on blast, how long you have to hold files to be in compliance with the BRE or the DRE? I don't remember if it's 5 years or 7 years. Sorry, saw that Hilda was on here. She could be on the phone and not able to answer us. So it doesn't matter. Honestly, here's how I want you to look at it. If you have an oral agreement with your tenant, they have 2 years after they vacate that they can sue you. If you have a written contract with your tenant, they have 4 years after they vacate, and then they can sue you. So I keep my records for 4 years and 1 month. Because in the event they sue me, I want to have all of my case file. I hope that makes sense to you guys as far as keeping records.
Scan them?
You can scan them, no problem. Nothing says that you have to have a tangible paper, but here's me talking to you, okay? If you go to court, they're going to want to see tangible documents. So you can scan it all in there, but just take into mind that you may have to print it all out to go to court. Just saying. Hope that makes sense. Does anybody else have?
But after 4 years, you still have them then.
Exactly. You could scan them into your system rather than just shredding them and being done with it. That way you have electronic copy. Does anybody else have anything? I'm sorry, I wasn't, see, she says 7 years, see, and I want to say it's 5. So I can look it up. I can look it up. But my thinking is you want to make sure you keep your file for as long as your tenant can sue you. I hope that made sense.
Patty, I have a problem with someone who's blocking my driveway. I have a very narrow driveway and their guests or they block the driveway. I have no parking signs I'm gonna put up. Somebody painted out my tenant parking only signs with white paint. So what forms do I use to give them? I've talked to them, you can imagine, several times, but what forms do I use now? Because the driveway is so narrow that nobody can get by unless everyone parks perfectly.
Okay, first and foremost, you need to put up a form of surveillance cameras.
Yes,
Notice I didn't say security.
yes.
Don't you use that S word either, because you're not providing security, they're surveillance. Number two, you want to call a tow truck company and sign a contract with them and have them come put up their tow away zone signs in your driveway. So that if somebody's parked there, you can call the tow company and they come tow them away.
Okay,
You need to call a tow truck company in your area because the laws change for tow trucks every 10 miles. Okay?
okay,
I'm trying to educate you so you know. So you want to call a tow truck company that covers your property, okay? And you want them to post their signs saying tow away, no parking, blah, 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 because they're going to be in compliance with the law that's going to allow them to tow the vehicle. We don't know those laws. We deal with housing, okay?
uh-huh,
So that's the easiest way to combat that problem. It says in your lease contract that they can't park there. You're now posting signs that say no parking and tow away zone. And that is in compliance with the law.
okay. What do you suggest for surveillance? Because for surveillance cameras, I have to use a tenant's electricity and their Wi-Fi.
You know, I'm sure a good quality tenant would be more than happy to give you access to their internet for the cameras, and Blink, BLINK, write that down. Do not require an electrical outlet per se. They run off a battery that's good forever, I believe. So
Okay,
I'd look into that. They're cheaper than Ring, RING.
okay,
Okay. So now you're only crediting a tenant for allowing them to use your, or allowing you to utilize their Wi-Fi. A $25 rent deduction monthly should be acceptable, but ask them.
okay, okay, I shall. Thank you very much.
No problem. And when you have that one tenant that's the problem and you have their you're using their Wi-Fi, you're gonna have to make friends with another tenant and use their Wi-Fi because that person's then gonna kick you out of their internet.
Oh, right. Yeah, I wasn't gonna choose the same person. There's
Right.
7 houses there in that on that property.
Right, but you understand what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
quality tenant that you're gonna do this for may turn into the future of not being a quality tenant, and you may have to maneuver this a different direction.
Okay.
And you're
Okay.
giving them a rent deduction for offering you Wi-Fi service. Got it?
Okay. Uh-huh.
Rent deduction. Because here's some things I didn't ask you. What city is this in?
It's in Incorporated Bellflower.
Oh, fuck. Okay, so you want to make sure that you put in writing that you're giving them a $25 or whatever the dollar amount is, rent deduction while you're using their Wi-Fi,
Okay.
because you don't want it to affect your base rent amount. Make sense?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Hey Patty, this is Erica.
Hey, girl.
Hey, I have a long question for you.
Is it an
during-
oh, holy crap?
Yeah, it is. I have two adults who abandoned the property. Essentially, one was incarcerated due to a domestic violence. I talked to you about my 18-day abandonment. The tenant has provided a restraining order with move out orders, does that now leave the remaining tenant financially obligated to support the home, although she has moved out as well?
She's locked up.
No, the guy was, but now he's released.
Okay, so just let me make sure I've got my head around this.
Okay, that's a lot.
You have two adults in the property. The male went to jail.
Correct.
The female filed for a TL or TRO, correct?
Correct.
Temporary restraining order, and it was issued.
Mm-hmm,
So, and she vacated.
correct.
She's off the hook with a 14-day notice.
Perfect.
Okay, so 14 days after she gave you that, she's off the hook
Okay,
and out of the property, okay? You can
Okay.
only hold somebody accountable for 14 days if they're a victim of domestic violence.
okay, thank you.
And then look at it this way. He went to jail for whatever happened. That's gotta be bad. She got
It
a
is
restraining
bad.
order. She got a restraining order, so it's gotta be real bad. Okay, because they're not giving those away on street corners. Okay. With all of that being said, please try to be as amicable as you can be.
Okay,
Does that make sense? So let her out. The person that's in jail is who's financially responsible at this point.
although the TPOs has a order to move out attached to it,
TRO.
TRO. Yes, temporary restraining order.
There's also a PRO, just so you know, it's permanent. Last 5
But
years.
he's still financially responsible, although that order states for him to move out?
Here's the thing, you're not forcing him to move out.
Okay.
The courts are, not you.
Oh, okay.
He's still responsible to pay you rent, isn't he?
Yes, that's what I need to know.
He didn't give you keys, say that he's moving?
No.
He just abandoned the property. So you're gonna charge him rent for 18 days and be done with it,
Okay,
okay? That would be on your notice of abandonment of belief of real property, not
yes.
personal property. And a lot
Yes.
of owners right now are going, what are they talking about? What are they talking about? So just so you guys know, there is 2 different types of notice of right to reclaim abandoned property. One is for personal property that the tenant leaves behind. One is for real property. Wait, what, Patty? What? So what happened is one tenant bails, the other tenant's in jail, and now she's left with, what do I do? How do I get this house back? They're gone, right? Notice of right to reclaim abandoned real property. That's what we're discussing. Just so everybody knows. Anybody have anything else?
I looked it up online, Patty, and it says here that California requires landlords to keep rental related receipts, expenses, and other documents for at least 3 years. So by law, it's 3 and then more, for your own safety.
By law, it's 3 years. Patty says 4 because that's how long the tenant can sue you. And the Department of Real Estate says it's either 5 or 7, and I want to say it's 5. It used to be 7 and it got changed. Okay, so that's me talking to you out loud. So the law says landlords have to keep them for 3 years. Patty says, no, 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 keep them for 4 because that's how long the tenant can sue you and you want to have all your ducks in a row. So 4 years, much better business practice. For those of us that are licensed real estate agents and or brokers, it's either 5 or 7 years. I think it used to be 7 for decades. And then it switched to 5. Because I want to say it's 1 year after the statute of limitations expires. 5 years. Okay, we're going with 5. Pick that number because 7 years is the IRS. And yes, I knew that one. Okay, hang on. I saw some stuff coming in. Hang on, you guys. Margot, City of LA, how do I address a tenant whose kitchen grease, etc., is causing cockroaches We have a paper trail. It happens periodically and goes into an adjacent apartment. You say you have a paper trail, but I'm going to ask you about your paper trail. Is it in cure or quit notices? Is it in 24-hour notices to enter for periodic spraying of pest control? Or is your paper trail all from, hang on, the exterminator telling you exactly what's going on and why she has a reoccurring issue? Could be in the form of a cleanliness report or a cause of infestation. And if that's the case, then basically you're going to use the exterminator's reports as a cure or quit for the tenant. If they don't cure the issue, then you can evict them.
Okay,
Make sense?
yes, it does. I just didn't know the process.
It's okay.
all-
And sometimes I have to ask you some more questions so I can grab a hold of what I need for the process. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay,
Easy
thank you.
peasy. No problem. That was easy peasy. All right. They can set up a Wi-Fi for the property and charge the tenants to use the Wi-Fi. Yes, this is true. You can actually get Wi-Fi for your apartment community. Maybe it's 8 units, maybe it's 5 units, maybe it's 3 units. And then you're giving that code to everybody in the community. And now you rented your house, Wi-Fi included. And whose cameras are they running? Yours? Oh, yeah. So thank you, BC. You guys, that's a great idea. If you have 10 units or less, buy Wi-Fi. Make it your own Wi-Fi, share it with the building, put that your rent includes internet. Thank you, BC. You guys are all awesome. Anybody have anything else that they want to discuss, talk about, pick my brain about, wrap your head around?
Okay, Patty, I have another problem renter, even worse than my parking people. I think they're mentally unstable. It's a man who's got an unauthorized woman with him. She's been with him for years, but their neighbors are complaining about the noise they're making in the middle of the night, and it's escalating, as you can imagine. I think well, I'm not a professional, but it's drugs or mental illness or both. And I did pick up the call logs from the police department. Thank you for mentioning that possibility. And now what do I do? Because I do have the recent call log for the night that I got the complaint about. So the tenants are saying that there was guns drawn, and it's the worst time that they've experienced this situation with this couple. And when I say they're next door, I mean they're 5 feet away. So it was just a woman home, her husband was gone, 2 teenage daughters. They're terrified and of course upset at midnight with this awful thing going on next door to them. And I really just don't know what to do. He's very savvy with getting his free attorney, and I've tried to boot him before, but he knows his rights.
Okay.
Don't cry for me. I've already almost cried myself.
What city is this in?
It's in the city of Bellflower, which is incorporated.
I got you. And they don't have their own bureaucracy and bullshit at this time.
They do not.
At this time was the key word there.
I think that a lot of the city council people are landlords.
Not in Pasadena.
No, you're right about Pasadena. I'm glad
They
I
put in
don't.
that rent control board, and their board members, 8 of them are tenants and 2 of them are landlords. It mimics the state's demographic.
It's awful. Pasadena's awful. Now their relocation fees a nightmare.
$32,000. You know why?
No.
They have a board of 10 members that design all the laws for the city. 8 of those members are tenants, 2 of them are landlords. Now, do you know why their relocation fees went to $32,000? Because the tenants are making the rules.
Yes. Ugh. Well, do I just have no choice now but to get an attorney?
Not necessarily. Let me ask you some questions. This person is an unauthorized occupant, has been there for quite some time. Have you ever accepted rent from her?
No, in fact, he was the mold guy I talked to you about before, so he didn't live there from the end of March last year until around Christmas. And when I redid the rental agreement to and a walkthrough, because we had to redo the whole house, of course. And I put one person, and I looked at him like, it's gonna be one person, right? Oh, yes, and now the woman's back.
Did you give exemption notice of AB 1482?
Oh, yes, I gave him all, just as though he was a new renter, so with mold and bed bug, and took half an hour.
I don't mean to say this so blasé,
Uh-huh.
but if they're exempt from statewide rent control, why not just give them a 60-day notice? The owner wants their house back.
Well, then I'd have to move into it, and I don't want to.
Whoa, who said you have to move into it? You notified them that you're exempt.
Oh, I'm not exempt.
That's what I asked you. Are you exempt from AB 1482? And you
Oh,
said
I'm
yes.
sorry. I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I thought you meant, did I give him that form? No, I gave him the form that I'm not exempt.
Okay. Give me a minute.
Thank you.
So you're subject to, he has unauthorized occupant. You have the opportunity of giving him a 3-day curable breach of covenant to remove the unauthorized occupant because they were protected under COVID until February 1st. So now you're coming up on March and he still hasn't gotten rid of her yet.
Okay.
Okay, so remove the unauthorized occupant is one way you could attack this, okay?
Uh-huh.
With a curable breach of covenant and then start eviction for them having an unauthorized occupant. The other thing that you could do, you're not exempt from 1482, so you can't do major renovations, owner move-in, family move-in. I'd do that. I'd base it off the unauthorized occupant. When's the last time you were inside the unit?
Well, when I did the walkthrough with him, which was end of December, 22nd of December,
2023?
24. You didn't
For
live
me?
there for like 9 months while we
Sweetheart, we haven't had December of 2024
Oh,
yet.
sorry. Yes, you're right. 2023. But we
I'm
did.
blonde. You
You're
see
right.
this?
Oh,
Don't
me
mess,
too. No, I'm red.
don't mess with this, okay?
Sorry.
It's okay, it's okay. I am human. I'm
You
like,
too.
huh?
Patty, could she do breach of enjoyment, quiet and pleasant enjoyment of the property?
She could do right to quiet enjoyment for neighboring residents, unauthorized occupants. She could do noise complaints and violations. The problem is a nuisance, and that's where you're headed, now requires more teeth. Okay, I don't know what happened in that police report. I'd have to read the police report. But if guns were drawn, people were feared for their life, where's the conviction?
Right. And it doesn't say guns were drawn. The police report doesn't say that. And it doesn't have the exact address because the woman keeps giving somebody else's address instead of the address where the tenants live.
Unauthorized occupant is how I'd base this. Right to quiet enjoyment for neighboring residents because they're disrupting the right to quiet enjoyment with whatever's happened. And you're gonna have to build a case on the drama.
Okay.
It's not one and done. You're gonna serve the notice, wait for the next incident, and then serve a second notice. Wait for the next incident, serve a third notice, and then you got 3 days, get out. Because
Okay.
then what you're doing is you're showing the judge, this is an ongoing issue. It's not a one and I told them don't do that ever again and they stopped. This is an ongoing issue.
Okay, sounds
But
good.
how you can get them sooner rather than later is going to be most likely that unauthorized occupant.
And I have to have video of her, right? I mean, they're like vampires, so they're not in the daytime. No video?
Dates, times, and witnesses.
Okay,
If you need a video camera to give you dates, times, and witnesses, then so be it. But you need dates, times, and witnesses.
okay, well, I don't want to use the witnesses because he claims he's
Honey,
got.
you can be a witness. If you
Okay.
reviewed video footage, you're the witness.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good, yeah. Super, thanks.
All right. No problem. Does anybody have anything else? I see Val's in here and I haven't heard her yet. And I know she's got a couple of snollygosters going on. She
Hi,
really
Patty.
has.
This
Hi.
is Suri. I have a tenant that fell in an apartment. She's
Uh-huh.
not talking about suing yet, but I don't know what's gonna happen, and I'm just wondering, what do I do?
Document that she notified you of a slip and fall on that date at that time. The other thing that I would do is notify my insurance company that my tenant notified me that they fell at the property on this date at this time. They haven't said anything else, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Yeah, she apparently broke her arm and they had to call the ambulance and they had to open the window. Luckily, the window was not locked to get in because she couldn't get to it.
Sometimes people fall down. Things happen. Okay.
Exactly. That's what happened to me. I was just walking.
That's why you have insurance, just in case, okay? So don't panic, don't overthink it. I could share a funny story with you that would make you all laugh, Hilda mostly. Had a tenant, okay? And I use this story a lot, okay? I didn't move her in. I was double booked. So I had my leasing agent go do her move in. My bad. This leasing agent happens to be a landlord, okay? So he writes down everything that's wrong with the property because he doesn't want the tenant to be responsible. I had to sit him down and explain to him, now you made you responsible. You, the owner, you, the landlord. See how that worked? So we had a nice conversation about what should be on a move-in inspection and what shouldn't, okay? We had a very long, detailed conversation about that because he documented everything. If there was a light bulb out, he documented it. He documented everything. I wanted to kill him. I ate crow because he documented on the move-in inspection that a light bulb was burned out in the hallway in the stairwell. She fell and broke her leg the day she moved in.
Oh boy.
But she signed and agreed knowing that light bulb was burned out in the stairwell. Oh, see how that worked? She hired an ambulance chasing attorney, and we talked about statute of limitations, right? She didn't have a written contract.
2 years.
She only has 2 years on a slip and fall. Got me? On 1 year, 11 months, and 29 days, I got a letter from an ambulance chasing attorney saying that she fell inside the poorly lit common area of her apartment. I called our attorney and sent photos and let him know that this wasn't a common area stairwell in an apartment community. It was inside a single family home. Because he filed the case improperly and only had 1 or 2 days before the statute of limitations went out, when we got to court, we got the case dismissed, because he pled it wrong. This isn't a common area. It's not an apartment. It's an interior stairwell inside of a single family residence. Because he pled the case wrong, they dismissed it. Because at that point that we got to trial, it was past the 2 years, they couldn't refile again. The statute of limitations ran out. See how that worked?
How lucky.
And that agent, I wanted to kill him for documenting everything. And I mean, everything. If there was a weed in the front yard, he wrote, oh, foxtails in the front yard. But he documented that that light was already burned out. And that's what saved my asset. And she had active knowledge because she signed and agreed to the move-in inspection. But I didn't need it after all. Because the case got dismissed, statute of limitations expired. She couldn't file another suit after that. She waited too long. See how that works?
Eddie, I had a
Yes.
situation where a tenant fell in his apartment,
Mhm.
broke his foot and required surgery. But when I got there, he told me that I don't know if it was Spectrum or one of those, some company had been there and he tripped over the cord. So should I
Oh.
still notify my insurance company?
Abso-freaking-lutely, because if a cable installer was there and he tripped over their equipment, whose liability is this? Make sense? I made you go, I heard it. I heard it. And so did everybody else that's in here. Because now who are we suing? Are we suing the owner who had no part of this? Or are we suing Spectrum who left their shit on the floor?
Yeah.
Yes, let your insurance company know. Absolutely. Because that's where they're going to go attack them.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. I got a new sweater. You guys see it? It's nice and soft and fuzzy and it feels so nice. And it's putting little lit fuzzballs all over me. It's driving me crazy. And I heard somebody laugh because we've all had that happen before. It's frustrating
Patty?
though. Yes.
I have a question, but I'm not actually, I'm in a parking lot. I parked here. I'm not at my desk. But you know, I was filling out for the first time one of the disclosures for a new tenant.
Okay.
And it was a disclosure that you have to put toxic chemicals that can
Yes, I know what
affect.
you're speaking. I know what you're speaking of. You're talking about Proposition 65.
Yes. Okay. That's something that we have to do. That document is so random. I'm finding it like, I don't know. I don't really know how to fill it out because I called Agla and on the first sentence she said, oh, maybe possibly write Downy, Tide, nail polish remover, secondhand smoke. And then I said, okay. And then on the second part where it says to write what chemicals, she said, Google it. Google what you can find that's in these items that are, you know, hazardous. So I filled it out as best as I could. I don't know if I did it correctly. And I wanted to get your take on that.
Have you ever looked at what, okay, so everybody understands what we're talking about. It is now a requirement for landlords in residential dwellings, that's us, okay, to disclose about potential carcinogens at the property. You guys have seen it where you go to the hospital and there's a sign up that says, warning, this property is subject to chemicals known to cause birth defects, cancer, reproductive harm, etc. under Proposition 65. And you're like, oh, we're at a hospital. They're talking about radiology. Have you ever pulled up the Proposition 65 list and looked at it? It's like 400 freaking pages long. Do you know one of the items listed on there that is considered a carcinogen, causes cancer, birth defects, and other reproductive harm? is dust from leather. Wait a minute. Are you telling me that if a tenant has an old belt or an old wallet, they could get cancer from that? Everything we eat, breathe, cancerous. Cancer, cancer, cancer. The only thing that doesn't cause cancer that I'm aware of is carrots. And I'm being funny, okay? But what I'm trying to tell you is there's more chemicals on that list than you could imagine. You have half of them in your purse right now. Thank you for giggling, okay? So now that you understand there's 400 different things on there and the contents of your purse is gonna kill you, okay? Pick random ones that'll make a tenant go, oh, I didn't even think about that. But the dust from leather causes cancer, just so you know.
So the way that I filled it out, just so random, just looked for stuff on Google, that's okay? Okay.
You have to disclose chemicals that are being used or could be used on the property. That includes
Is
all of
there
your
any
other
way
residents.
that I can get a copy of like how you fill it out so that I could mimic it? Could you upload it?
Do you think I put leather on there?
Probably. I think you probably do put it, I don't know, maybe
why
attach
would
the
Patty,
400 pages.
why would Patty put leather on there?
Because
Why would
there's
Patty?
leather everywhere.
Bingo. And what am I trying to do? De-escalate the
Protect
situation
your asset.
while I'm de-escalating the situation and calming the tenant down, because half of the shit that's going to kill them is in their purse right now.
Yeah.
Okay. With that being said, I want to point out things to them like this so they can see how ridiculous this law is.
Yeah.
Oh.
So is there a way that I can get that from you?
Uh-huh. We can make that happen. So you want
Yeah.
my Prop 65 disclosure?
Yes. Yeah. So I want to
Gotcha.
mimic it because how I did it, I was like, I was Googling stuff. I don't even know, and I would like to.
But what I'm trying to put in your head is leather. And where
No,
is
it makes
that?
a lot of
On our
sense.
purse, on our
Yeah,
belt, on our
yeah,
jackets. It's everywhere. So what I'm trying to tell these tenants is by law, I have to disclose to you that there's stuff in here that's going to cause cancer. But you need
yes,
to know that half of the shit that's going to cause cancer is already in your purse.
right. So it's not so alarming. Like, wait a minute, why am I getting this? What's going on with your building? Like, are you next to some, horrible soil or whatever? Yeah, I get it.
No, you don't. Because next time you drive through McDonald's, pay attention. They have a Prop 65 sign up in the
Yeah,
window. So
yeah,
explain to them. Restaurants have to do it, so do I.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So we're de-escalating what it is. Because if you read that and when Prop 65 first came out prior to COVID, I want to say it happened in 2018 or maybe 2017, because I can remember what apartment association I was at teaching when it came out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I printed out the whole list of Prop 65 carcinogens and things that could be considered cancer causing so that I had a better understanding. Reading that list really opened my eyes of they're trying to disclose that everything that we eat and everything we already own has cancer causing properties in it already. So they
Yeah,
want us to disclose
absolutely.
that this property could contain cancer, but everything does. So
Yeah.
what I'm trying to tell my tenants is, yeah, this property could cause you cancer, but your purse already is doing that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
So in other words, I'm disclosing it, I'm telling them, but I'm putting things on there that's making them start thinking. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All this
Very
stuff
good.
you're scared of, drive through McDonald's. They have a Prop
Yeah.
65 warning, so does every other fast food restaurant. It's just a requirement. So what I do is try to downplay it a little bit so that they
Yeah.
don't get so caught up as, wait, whoa, what is this? Just like you said.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to
Okay.
live somewhere that's going to cause me cancer. Well, then stop wearing a belt, okay? Because if your pants fall down, it's socially acceptable because we don't want you catching cancer.
Oh my God.
I mean, I hate to say it, but everything causes cancer. Everything.
I know. It's so, I mean, it's funny that, I mean, it's not, we're making light of it, but it absolutely is true.
They are
So Patty,
feeding it to us.
you'll upload it, and where can we find it? Your Prop 65 document?
Send me an email. Fair enough?
Fair enough. Thank you.
Okay. No problem. All right. We got others just talking to you. Hold on. Just talking to you right now causes cancer. Actually, if you're using your phone or your computer, maybe. I know you're just joking. I would just Cheerios causes cancer. Actually, they probably do because a lot of the preservatives in food coloring are known to cause cancer, but the FDA is there to protect us. Sorry, I'll shut up because it was bad. I'll be quiet now. Roadrunner here. We just took over several homes from another company and we're in the process of calling owners to see if they want to do a rent raise at the end of their current tenants' leases. However, the broker from that company called our broker and asked, why are you calling the owners to ask them if you want to raise the rent? That is discrimination to call and ask them that. It's financial discrimination. No, it's bullshit. It's the funniest thing I've ever heard. I'm actually screenshotting this and showing it to an attorney later. It's funny. I could tell you why. Do you want to know the why? Who asked me this? My Roadrunner peeps? Do you want to know why? I could tell you the why. I'm waiting to see if you respond. Yes, Patty, tell me why. Why is this broker pissed off and saying that it's discrimination? And then I'm going to hear her laugh, okay? I'm going to hear her laugh. All of us are subliminally. You watch. The reason that one broker called your broker and said, why are you calling landlords and asking them if they want to raise their rent? That's discrimination. Because he's pissed because he never did his fucking job and they're calling him out on it. Oh, that's why the broker's calling you, is because owners are saying, you never called us and asked us if we wanted to raise the rent. They're a great company. Makes sense? Exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. But now you understand. Happens a lot in this industry. And I can give you a great example of how I see it happen a lot every day. 10 years ago in this industry with property managers, we were always cutthroat with each other. Sit in a group together, have a webinar together. Oh no, we're in competition together and you're my enemy. That's how it used to be 10 years ago. All property managers hated each other. You couldn't get us all in a room together unless we worked for the same company. At a trade show or a training event, we sit around and turn our nose and flip our hair at the people next to us because they're our competition. It's bullshit. We are all on the same team. This has evolved and changed tremendously. And now we know that we need to work together because we're outnumbered. Okay. So now 10 years have gone by and the roles have switched. We've switched seats, if you will. So where they used to just turn our nose up at us and say, oh, they're doing a horrible job. Now they say, oh, that's illegal. No, it's not. It's not illegal to call your landlord and ask them if they want to raise the rent. That is not discriminatory. That is good business practice. And if someone else wasn't doing a good business practice, they may take offense to a good business practice. And right now I can hear her just busting up laughing so freaking loud. all the way from the low desert, right? Because she's laughing, I guarantee you, because I'm right on the nose. I bet you dollars for donuts. All right. Here's my question. Here we go, Val. Are you ready? I love Val. She's got the funniest analogies. Here is my question. The evicted pot farmer. Okay, so let me explain to you guys what happened to Val, okay? She rented a property to a client. The client was then, the tenant was being evicted. The tenant then sublet the land on the property to a pot farmer for $10,000 so they could grow their marijuana there while they were getting evicted. The pot farmer didn't know, okay? But pot farmers, oh, see, they did a lot of damage, $23,000 of damage, plus back rent, plus eviction costs, 28 grand total. Insurance just paid me 23 grand. I sent the tenant an estimated dispo for 28 grand. Obviously, her won't pay that. No, Val, you cannot. You cannot double dip. It's illegal, unethical, and immoral. So technically and legally, your tenant owes you $5,000. Because if they owed 28,000 and your insurance company paid you 23,000, then your tenant is responsible for the difference and your deductible. Okay? So do a disposition and a final disposition, because I'm sure you did an estimate based on all those estimated charges. So now you can do a final for the difference and the deductible. That's what you can charge them. Okay, anytime there's an insurance claim and your insurance company pays you, then that money's not owed anymore. And if you don't account for it, you're double dipping. Because technically, your insurance company is now going to go after your tenant for that $23,000 they just paid you. So you can't ask for that money too, because technically now they don't owe it to you. They owe it to your insurance company. Got it? Bingo. Do your final disposition as security deposit. And now he owes you 5 grand plus your deductible because the insurance company paid the difference. Look at it this way. The double dipping makes sense because if the insurance company paid me and now I'm asking the tenant to pay me and they do pay me, I got paid twice. Oops. Anybody have anything else?
We
Maybe.
can reach out to our insurance company for monies that our tenants didn't pay us. I did not know that.
No, you didn't read the whole thing, okay? The tenant that she evicted, the pot farmer, did $23,000 of damage plus back rent plus eviction costs. So it came to 28,000. The insurance company paid her for the 23,000 in damages. Maybe Val found her house in that shape due to vandalism. That would be covered by insurance. So $23,000 of damages caused by vandalism paid by the insurance company. Yes.
Got it.
I have went to a property before to knock and talk to the tenants only to find the door standing wide open. Anybody else ever have this happen? Anybody ever go to a
have.
property to, right? I'm gonna get a whole bunch of you
Yeah.
going, yeah, that's happened to me, that's happened to me, that's happened to me. If you go there and it's also destroyed, somebody's graffitied all over the walls. I'm trying to think of what happened to me. I found my kitchen counter in the fireplace. Wow. Okay, vandalism. Total different set of facts. So what does that mean? It means the tenants moved out in the middle of the night and disappeared because they couldn't pay you anymore because whatever, because tenants are tenants and they do tenant-like things, okay? somebody else found out that it was vacant, saw them moving out, went in there and destroyed it, you still are clueless because the rent's not owed yet. The second the rent is owed, you're going to serve notice and go out there. That's usually how we find out, is we drive out there to serve a notice. And then we find out they're gone and somebody's messed up the house. We automatically assume always that it was the previous tenant that did that damage. We don't know. In all fairness, police have to prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt to be successful at court, right? So do we. So we don't know who vandalized the house. We just know that it's vandalized. So we file an insurance claim. We tell the insurance company, yeah, I had a tenant there, blah, blah, this happened, that happened, whatever the issue is. The insurance company then goes after whoever caused the damage so that they can recoup their losses. I will charge my tenant back for back rent, eviction costs, my deductible. I will also include the stolen appliances that insurance did not cover. You're also going to include your late fees because your insurance company didn't pay for that. Maybe your locksmith expenses. Hold on, because I saw something else come through my brain. Hang on. I will charge my tenant for back rent, eviction costs, my deductible, stolen appliances, late fees, legal fees. That was what I thought of was legal fees. Sorry, Val. Back rent, eviction costs, your deductible, attorney's fees, late fees, okay? And whatever the insurance company didn't cover. And the deductible, yeah, you got it. I just threw in attorney's fees and late fees. Everybody, when you guys do your dispositions and security deposit, there's two things you always miss. Two things, okay? Your locksmith fees. Because come on, if you did an eviction, the sheriff came and locked them out, or they vacated in the middle of the night and you didn't get the keys back. You guys always forget two things on your dispositions of security deposit. And yes, I called it a dispo for short because that's property management slang. The two things that you guys always forget are late fees and lockout fees. Late fees, lockout fees. And for those of you that did a stipulated agreement in court, dismissing the money without prejudice. Dismissing money without prejudice. What that means in simple English is I don't want the money you owe me for this eviction court hearing, but you still owe me the money. So when you dismiss without prejudice the money that's owed at trial so that you can get possession, the first place that you can ask for all the money that's owed to you is on your disposition of security deposit. That's another venue. It's not your eviction trial. Did somebody just go, oh? That's when you ask for all the rent that's still owed to you. Because your disposition of security deposit is not part of your eviction. Hope that makes sense. Hope that totally made sense for you guys. And dismissing money without prejudice, you guys let go of the money. That's what your tenant's holding on to. I don't want to pay them. I don't want to pay them. Fine, I'll dismiss the money without prejudice for this court matter. Boom, now the money's out of the eviction. Bye, Arlene, love you. Be safe, drive fast, take chances. I'm being funny. I hope she heard that right before she clicked off. Drive fast, take chances. Anybody need anything else? Yep, you can put late fees on the rent that he didn't pay for 4 months, most definitely. Those are the two things everybody always misses is your lockout expenses and your late fees. When you guys are doing your dispositions of security deposits, those are the two things I always mention. I'm sorry, I'm still picking little fuzz balls off my black pants. Beautiful shirt, not so pretty on the jeans. Squirrel, sorry. Anybody else have anything? Anything we want to talk about? I'm going to get an email about a Prop 65 disclosure. You guys now understand that we have to disclose that there's cancer causing chemicals and items on the property, but they're also in their purse and their wallet, just in their purse. Isn't that crazy? All right, you guys, I'm getting off of here. If nobody else has anything, everybody's leaving. So I see that. It's like, oh, the lunch hour's over. All right, I'm gonna go too. I'm gonna go eat some lunch myself. You guys have a great day. I will see you next week. If you have any questions or concerns, you know how to hunt me down. And just so everybody knows, I now know how to lay hardwood flooring. Not a trait I wanted to have in my arsenal, but I got it. I even have paint on my finger right here. You see that? I am
Thank you,
ready.
Patty.
Bye, you guys. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.